Hello and welcome to the First and 30 podcast. This is episode 51. Antonino, tell the chain movement what we're all about.
We are two 30-something-year-old guys giving you 4 crazily contentious downs in 30 bandwagoning minutes of NFL football insight to get you through your hump day.
You're getting to be such a wordsmith. Like, this is really invoking so much creativity for you to just like experiment with words. So
yes, stretching my English language for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, we do have some contentious downs today. A lot of people are either feeling very high and happy, and some people are feeling very low and sad and in that depressive state. But before we do get into all the meat, action, and potatoes of what happened this past weekend in the divisional round of the NFL, Antonino, I got to see you on Saturday, not in person, but through Zoom. We all gathered for our fantasy football league punishment, and we saw our last place finishing manager have to embark on the Hot Ones challenge. So I want to know, man, I didn't get to like debrief with you afterward. What was your impression? How did you think Michael did with the gauntlet of hot sauces?
I would have loved to have seen it up close and personal. The tears running down his face, the heat, the fire, and the flames coming out of his mouth. But it was nice from the FaceTime point of view.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, others that are listening, I'm sure people partake in fantasy football. Do you have a punishment in your league? What is your punishment? Because I'm the commissioner in our league, and we're going to be, having to invoke new punishments next year. So I'm always looking for some creative bursts. So if you have anything good that you did this year, go ahead and share it with us on social media. If you have pictures, video, ideas, we're open to it. But it was a good time. I was proud of Michael. He hung in there tight. We even tried some of the hot sauce, and I do have to say, it's pretty miserable, man. So it was definitely a punishment.
Yeah, and in his behalf here, he was a Jets fan, and he picked a lot of Jets players. So if there's any advice to be taken from this, don't draft Jets players or your favorite team's players all at once.
Yeah, bad strategy. That's going to doom you and sink your season. But how about we hop into all of the action, man? We're going to kind of break things down here by conference. So we'll spend first down with the divisional round recap, reactions to the AFC matchups. So we had 2 games this past weekend that the AFC represented. The first being the Houston Texans going to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Texans lose this game 23-14. I guess you could say the Chiefs won the game too, but we kind of take it from a different perspective. Tell me, man, what happened in here? What was like the overarching, what was the storyline walking away from this game?
I mean, the only storyline I took from this game is that the Kansas City Zebras struck again, and I'm about had it with this debacle of the referees in the NFL here, Nick.
So just to be clear, Zebras, you mean the referees, the Kansas City referees? Why is that?
Correct. What I'm seeing here is just putrid officiating. We all saw it. You saw it. I saw it. Everyone at our fantasy party saw it. They were calling penalties whenever someone breathed on Mahomes. Like, what the heck's going on here? Head-to-head contact? There was no head-to-head contact. He's flopping out of bounds, 15 yards. You want 15 yards? 2 players for the Texans collide, 15 yards. Everywhere you went. I've had it, man. I can't take it anymore. My blood pressure's up. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah, it was. I saw a few of the roughing the passers or the, unnecessary roughness penalties. One of which was pretty egregious, where the 2 Houston players ended up colliding with each other when Mahomes was, first of all, he was like scampering around and then decides like mid-play that he's going to slide halfway through the play. Both Houston players are like diving for him, and they end up colliding with each other, not even contacting Mahomes, and there goes the penalty, 15 yards. So Houston accounted for 8 penalties with 82 accepted yards. Kansas City only had 4 for 29 yards. So quite a variance, and that's been the case most of the season, it seems.
Yeah, and that first drive, it was a 3rd down stop. You thought they were going to get off the field. The Texans were playing really well. Nope. Penalty, 15 yards. Few plays later, Travis Kelce gets a touchdown. It's a momentum killer, especially in instances where it wasn't even close to a penalty. Like, for the Texans to stay tough in this game as long as they did, and to have that break your back, it's tough. But they weren't helping themselves out. Their kicker, let's talk about the kicker. The guy missed 2 kicks. I think one was blocked. He missed the extra point. Golly, that's a terrible
Well,
way to,
so
to fall behind quick.
so I'm
Yep.
curious. Do you think, taking into account the penalties and then the kicking woes, do you think that was the difference in this game? I mean, Houston did lose by a touchdown, right? Or a little bit more than a touchdown, 23-14. They got the safety at the end because it was
Mhm.
more of like a play that was designed to happen that way. So lost by double digits essentially. Do we really think the penalties and the kicks would have changed the outlook of this game?
Yeah, absolutely. It comes with
Okay.
momentum. You're on the
Yeah.
road, packed house. You know you got to get over that heavy front at the beginning, get over the crowd noise, kind of stop their rhythm. And they were in the game. It was only 6-3 before the halftime field goal miss. You think if they're playing from ahead, they might run more. It just affects the whole strategy of the game. And I feel like that was altered, and they just couldn't get that lead to get Joe Mixon going a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, going into it, when we were reflecting and kind of doing a preview last week, one of the things I stated that Houston had a chance in this game if their defense was able to generate a pass rush against Mahomes. And if they were able to stop the Chiefs on third down, that would be a recipe to win this. Because going in the regular season, Kansas City was ranked second in the league on third down conversions. Houston held them to 4-11, 4 conversions out of 11 attempts. So they won in that respect. So you can put a little notch there like, hey, way to go. You did one of the things you needed to do. But Houston did not execute on some of the more simpler, finer things of the game, like converting field goals. And, knowing that the refs play a little bit tighter against Kansas City, don't put yourself in positions where they're going to pull that flag on you. I mean, that's the only thing you can really control. Whether or not there's a conspiracy that the refs are out against everybody that plays the Chiefs, like, do everything in your part not to invoke it.
And I'm going to leave you with this one little factoid from this game, or from the Chiefs' history the past 4 years. They've played 11 playoff games. 10 of those games, the opponent had more penalties. And when Clay Martin's the referee, the Chiefs are 7-0. I'm just saying.
So we knew the rhino in the room, the guy that's the target there, Clay Martin. Okay, well, we do want to save some time here on first down, Antonino, to the other big AFC matchup, the one that you and I were both looking forward to the most, the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. Buffalo wins this 27-25. Game over. What happened here? What was I mean, this is your moment to rub it into Ravens fans, dude. I'm going to give you the platform if you want it.
Give me 1 second. Let me grab my cup. I want to catch all those Raven tears. And I don't think there's a cup big enough, because this year, all year long, all I had to hear about was Lamar this, Lamar that, 6 Pro Bowlers, yada, yada, yada. It's all down the drain for nothing. I'm sorry, folks. Pack it up. You're headed to Cancun.
That's easy for you to be able to go ahead and attack the Ravens fans. They can't really say anything back to you. So Ravens fans, go ahead, shoot us something on Instagram, send a message. Antonino is the one that managed the Instagram, so he's going to read it. Throw some shade. If you have any Bengals hate, just throw it over, like some funny memes. I want to see it. Don't let it get away with this. But it was a tough loss for Baltimore, and they had this game too in position to win. Buffalo was pretty conservative with how they went about things offensively, giving Baltimore the opportunity to continue to play the game they want to play, which is run the ball, which they did 30 times for 176 yards. But they did not get to that sweet spot. Derrick Henry, 16 carries for 90 yards. You need to get him around the 20 carry range. Over 90 yards. He didn't get over 90 yards, but whenever he gets 90 yards, they win games. So, yeah.
Jeez. 16 carries. Come on. You got to get that guy over 20 carries every single game. That was a determining factor. I know last week we kind of previewed it. I said both quarterbacks would have an average game, and it would come down to the running backs. Cook for Buffalo, 17 for 64. Not great. Henry, 16 for 84. You just wish he had more carries, but it comes down to the quote-unquote MVP, Lamar Jackson. The guy's 3-5 in the playoffs. He had 2 terrible turnovers, 1 interception, and the fumble that got taken back by Von Miller quite a bit there. Costly turnovers that just can't happen in a game like this.
I agree with the turnovers, and I agree that the 2 turnovers he had were on him. I mean, the pass that he threw was because of the pass rush. He didn't get to wait and sit on that route to finish, and he preemptively threw it, which resulted in the pick. The fumble, tried to do a little bit too much, was being a little lax with his holding of the ball, and that led to the fumble. But one of the things that you're kind of being a little narrow-sighted with here is putting the onus and the blame all on Lamar. Let's be real. If the Ravens didn't have Lamar, they were not going on an 88-yard touchdown drive to potentially tie this game. And right before that drive, I have to throw the shade out there, man. You were hating on Lamar. You're like, this guy can't throw a football. He's not going to be able to get them down to score the touchdown. And what did he do? He made you eat your words like that.
Let's be clear here. This was before the last drive where the Bills were playing prevent up 8. He went and he became the check down machine. He only had 12 completions the entire game before that drive. He then went 6 for 7 for 80 yards. He rushed for 8 yards, but they were playing prevent. It was just dip and dunk, check down. They had no timeouts. He went down the field.
What are you talking about? That touchdown he threw was 20 plus yards, Antonino.
12 completions. 12 completions in 3.25 quarters. He only had 12. Putrid, bad, terrible.
I want to know, why do you hate on him so much? I really
pack your bags, Lamar. Pack your bags. No, you're out of there.
Why do you hate on the guy so much? Like, I'm not even a Ravens fan, but I can respect game, right? Like, why can't you respect the game? Is it just because your favorite team's in his division?
I'm not a fan of Lamar.
Why?
I'm not a fan of the team.
You're not answering the question. Why?
I don't like the team, the quarterback, or anything they stand for. And that's just what it comes down to.
I see.
And let's not
purely emotion.
And I know we might be running a little over, but Mark Andrews, man.
Well, when we think of this game and what went wrong, my mind goes to Mark Andrews and having probably one of the worst games of his career. It was unfortunate. He had a huge fumble that really altered the momentum of this game. It led to points for Buffalo. And then, of course, the dropped 2-point conversion attempt. He was gifted a walk-in touchdown. No one was near him. Had the ball in his hands. You can't blame the throw. The throw was where it needed to be. He had both hands on the ball, and he just dropped it. And that's how the Ravens season ends. That's a really gutting way to lose a game. But you can't put all the blame on Lamar. It was his first game this season where he had multiple turnovers, an opportune time for that to happen, but it is what it is. All right, man. We'll let the Twitter people and the Instagram people burn you up with your Lamar hate, but let's hop into second down because we had 2 other games that we have to cover here. In the NFC, the Rams and Eagles played each other in a snowy game, which was a lot of fun to watch, just this snow coming down in the second half. Eagles win it 28-22, but not without a little scare at the end. The Rams had an opportunity to win this one, but then a big sack ended it. What did you see here?
Yeah, I really thought the Rams were going to come away with this one. The quarterback threw for 328. Stafford had a great game. All his weapons were getting involved. But you're gonna notice a theme here: turnovers, and I think that's what nipped the Rams in the bud. They just turned the ball over at the worst possible time. Second half, Kyren had that costly fumble. Eagles cashed in. I really feel bad for this Rams team, but on this day, those Dirty Birds got the win.
Yeah, it seems like the weather played a factor in this for the Rams. There was a few occasions where you had dropped passes by like Puka Nacua, even though he had a huge grab on that final possession that set them up into a position where they could have scored and won. But regardless, there was a lot of drops in this game, a lot of sloppy, careless possession of the ball. Stafford had a few passes just seemed to slip out of his hands as well. So you have to wonder if they were playing in LA, would there have been a difference? I don't think there would have been because Saquon still ran for over 200 yards against this Ram defense. And we saw it earlier in the season. He had over 200 yards in that game too. He becomes the first player actually in NFL history to have over 200 scrimmage yards against the same team in the same season. So I don't think it would have mattered, but they were playing let's be honest, Philadelphia has no weaknesses on this team. They have somebody stacked at every position right now. They're going to be a tough play next week for Washington as well, which we'll get into here. But I don't know. The Rams, I don't think they would have won regardless.
You just really thought the Rams, having seen this before earlier in the year, stop Saquon Barkley, and it's snowing outside. Jalen Hurts only threw for 128 yards. You have one goal: stop Saquon Barkley.
Well, Antonino, they for the most part did. He had 26 carries in this game for 204. 2 out of the 26 carries accounted for 140 yards. So
hey, those count.
They do. But I'm saying if they were able to shut him down and not give up 2 bludgeoning 60-plus yard rushing touchdowns, he was only averaging 2.7 yards per carry up until those 2. So obviously when you look at a stat sheet and you see 26 or 240, you're like, man, this guy just ran all over, which he did on 2 carries.
I mean, all the carries count here. That's part of it. You got to pound, and eventually your blocks hit their mark and that seam comes open. It's all part of it. And they did that. More power to them. But they're going to be playing, like you said, a Commanders team next week.
They are. To our surprise, the Washington Commanders went to Detroit, defeated the Super Bowl favorite Lions 45-31. I mean, they couldn't be stopped. There was points in this game where I was questioning, all right, it's just a matter of time before Detroit just clicks that next gear. They kind of shut things down. They start clicking on offense, and they'll build a lead in this one. Never happened. They were trailing pretty much the entire thing. Washington had their way with Detroit's defense, battered defense. Let's put in perspective. Lions were playing with second, third stringers in this one on the defensive side. But what was your reaction, man?
Yeah, the Lions, like we said, turnovers. They got a little cute fourth quarter. Just when you thought maybe they're getting some momentum, they do this wide receiver pass. That gets picked off. I just didn't like the way they approached that, but it all comes down to that Commander Redskins magic with Jaden Daniels. The guy is clutch. He makes the plays when he needs to. He finds the open receiver. He doesn't make mistakes. I was at a local Redskins bar. The place was packed to the brim. The passion is there. The excitement's there. It's back. I'm so happy for the DMV. Watched it with my buddy Scott. He was wearing a Lavernius Coles jersey. Shout out to him. A real OG. I'm so happy for all the fans. And they let Detroit have it.
Was it an actual Redskin bar or was it Commander bar?
Both. You heard all the Redskins chants.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Well, look, not to toot my own horn, but I will. Last week, I said one of the big factors, the key to victory for Washington would be Jaden Daniels against the blitz. And would Detroit blitz him? Would they be able to generate pass rush with their down linemen to keep him contained? They were not able to do that. Aaron Glenn dialed up 16 blitzes against Daniels. He went 12 of 16 on those blitzes for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's actually second most passing yards for a rookie in a game since 2016 against the blitz, including regular season and playoffs. So the thing I said last week, just don't blitz him, Detroit. If you can generate a pass rush, you've got this guy. But no, I mean, Jaden Daniels has shown time and time again this season that he will torch you if you throw multiple players to try to create pressure.
One play that really stands out here is when he got it out to Scary Terry out on a screen there on the left, took it to the house, like big hitting plays. Love to see it. Detroit, heck of a year, but man, oh man, you definitely might not get back to this point, I have a feeling, but we might talk about that later.
Maybe. Yeah, and I mean, poor Goff counted for 4 turnovers. It was an awful game, but
that pick six was so bad.
The pick six, the fumble too, and the opposite side of the field. They were just really critical errors that Washington wasn't making. Washington protected the ball, and that's the difference in all of these games. If you notice, the teams that won were clean. They didn't turn the ball over. The teams that lost turned the ball over, with the exception of Houston.
That's right.
All right, man. Let's wrap up this first half and start segueing into our half-minute halftime show here.
That's right. Misery loves company. There's now 28 teams that got kicked out. If you're sitting at home, join us. We'll commiserate together.
But, Antonino, there are still 4 teams left in the playoff that have high hopes, that are trying to get a Super Bowl. So if you're a fan of the Commanders, the Eagles, the Chiefs, or the Bills, stick around. Keep listening in. We're going to be breaking down these games, going into a little bit of depth and giving our insights and analysis. And if you're enjoying the content, like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating. All right, Antonino. So that covers the divisional rounds, but with third down, I think it's only fitting we do a little bit of preview and prediction here. The stage is set. We know what's at stake. a trip to the Super Bowl. Commanders and Eagles are going to be playing 3 p.m. on Sunday. You can watch it on Fox. Right now, the spread is about 5.5 to 6 favoring Philadelphia, depending on where you get that information from. Who are you thinking is going to win this? Are we all jumping on the Commander bandwagon? I mean, the local team, well, Philly's kind of local too. So what do you think?
Man, I'm leaning so heavily in the Commanders' direction here. The magic is real. There's something in the air. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, folks. There is no way they don't win this game. I'm laying it out there right now. My prediction, Skins cover those 6 points. Sunday, 3 o'clock to 5:30, however long the game goes. It's going to be a party in DMV. It's going to be a blowout. The Redskins are going to blow out these Eagles. I just feel like Dan Quinn found the magic mix, the formula. They convert on 4th downs, over 70%. Something is in the water, Nick, and they're just going to keep this thing going.
Maybe. All right. Totally off point, but not to bring Baltimore back into this, but something just dawned on me. Baltimore fans, I think the only reason Antonino hates Lamar and the Ravens so much is because they own his Bengals. If you notice the dichotomy here, he's supporting the Washington Commanders like it's nothing. It's easy. It's natural to him. They have a quarterback just like Lamar that can run it. That's a great passer against the blitz. No problems by Antonino, but it's because the Commanders aren't whooping up on his team twice a year. So I got it. We're down to business here. I'm not going to let you respond to that either, Anthony. So you're picking the Commanders.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who we're all hoping, I think, will win. Nobody wants to see except for Eagles fans. Sorry, Eagles fans, but I don't think I want to see the Eagles in it. And Eagles fans in general can be a little dicey. But if Philly does have a chance at winning this game, I mean, when you look across the board on these rosters, Philadelphia is by far the more talented team. Let's just put it plainly and bluntly. They are stacked at pretty much every position. The only position that I give Washington the bump right now is at QB. I think if there's going to be one player that can win this game for any team, it's going to be Jaden Daniels being able to carry Washington to victory as he has been for this 5-6 game stretch. But for the Eagles, look for Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle. He's their X factor. If he's able to be as disruptive as he was against the Rams, even being double teamed and still creating pressure, that's going to be tough for Washington because Philadelphia, if we've seen anything, just don't blitz. Don't blitz the guy. If you can generate pass rush with your down lineman, you have a serious shot at shutting down the Commanders. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm rooting for the Commanders. I'm picking them, even though I don't think they're going to win, but I want them to.
I think it's very possible. And one thing to keep an eye on is Jalen Hurts. Is he hurt? He went down with a little knee injury. I feel like he went out to the side. They drugged him with some good stuff, came back, finished the game. Post-game interview, he was a little loopy, sounded different than usual. I think something might be there. We'll see how he comes out.
Yeah. I noticed that too. And Collinsworth was going on and on about it in the broadcast. He made he was just, something's up with Jalen Hurts. I don't know. But he was making some completions. He was able to get out of the pocket and still do some movement, but definitely thinking like an MCL, PCL sprain type of deal probably in the knee. Yeah.
100-some yards passing like this past week's not going to cut it against that Redskins offense.
No, but I mean, Saquon, again, if they can get him going, he's hard to stop. The Eagles are hard to stop. But let's spend some time on this Bills-Chiefs game too, Antonino. Chiefs are right now favored about 1.5 to 2 points. This is Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It will be aired on CBS. Come on. I think everybody who is not a Chiefs and Eagles fan, everybody else in America that watches football wants this to be a Buffalo Commanders Super Bowl rematch of 1990 or 91, was it? 91.
Yep. 91. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this is it. Mahomes is 16-3 in the playoffs. All right. This is it. Josh Allen, you remember that 13 seconds game when you thought you had the game in the bag? They went down the field and scored in 13 seconds. This is your chance. Redemption. Yeah. It's time. It's time to slay the dragon. There's only two other quarterbacks that have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. That's Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. Josh Allen, add your name to this list for America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is for America. Yeah. For
America.
everybody except for the Chiefs fans. But this is the 9th meeting between Mahomes and Josh Allen. They are 4-4 against each other. But Mahomes 3-0 against Allen in the postseason. Can he break that streak?
Nope, and it's never been done before. No playoff quarterback has beat the other quarterback 4 straight times in the playoffs. Never happened.
Okay, so you think he will break the streak? Josh Allen will break that 3-game winning streak that Mahomes has over him in the playoffs.
I'm going to save my prediction till the
end. You're building this up. I thought this was like quite a... Come on, man. You've shown your hand about what you think of the Chiefs weeks and weeks and weeks ago. When the season first started, you let us all know what you think of the Chiefs. I'd be shocked if you... And especially last week when you're telling me you're part of the Bills bandwagon. I don't think you're creating much suspense here, man. If anyone's been paying attention, we already know who you're picking.
I have some bad news for you, Nick.
What?
There's some black magic at work that's way bigger than all of us. There is no chance Buffalo's going to win this game. I hope there's some reverse jinxing that I'm doing here. But the Chiefs and the 3-peat just seems to be the script that the NFL wants. No matter whether we like it or not, it's getting shoved down our throat. I hope the Bills win. Please, Josh Allen, please. But I think until proven otherwise, the Chiefs win this game, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. I hope we're wrong. I mean, Buffalo was my early Super Bowl pick, and here they are, still standing. The game we all want to see would be Buffalo-Washington.
Yep.
The game I think we're going to end up seeing is going to be Kansas City, Philadelphia. I hate it too, but I think that's what's going to end up happening.
Well, we're going to talk this to existence. All right, let's go.
All right. So let's wrap up third down, hop into fourth and forever time. It's time to go for it, Antonino. And we like to make things end on a fun note. We like to play a little bit of game, quick hitting stuff. So how about a little bit of fact or fiction? Let's revisit this. I'll throw out a few statements. You tell me yay or nay, fact or fiction. I'll give you my impulsive response as well, and then we'll segue into it. So you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, man. Fact or fiction, Lamar Jackson will never lead the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl win.
Only in his dreams, and that he will never go to the Super Bowl. He won't even sniff a Super Bowl. 3-5. Maybe if they play a Pittsburgh team with the wheels blown off every year for every round, which will never happen. So no, never, not going to happen.
You're such a hater.
I love it.
Oh, that's fiction. He will. They are so close. They are on the cusp. I can't. Guy's too good not to. He's got to.
Derrick Henry's going to get a little older.
I know, but the dude's built differently. Maybe they might have another year or two left of good Derrick Henry before he rides off into the distance. So I say fiction. I think next year they have a 2-year window with Lamar I think, right now. But we'll see. Speaking of Super Bowls, fact or fiction, the Detroit Lions Super Bowl window has officially closed with this loss to Washington.
My first instinct was fiction. This Detroit, they got a good team. Their core is intact. But wait, no, I'm slamming that window shut because the offensive coordinator just left to be a head coach in Chicago, and their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, he's about to be gone, possibly to the Jets. They're going to lose both coordinators. I think they start to fall apart.
It sucks, man. I really don't want them to. This season, they had so many injuries on defense, big injuries. Aiden Hutchinson, we could go down the list, but they're still young on offense. Penny Sewell's like under 25. Jahmyr Gibbs is under 25. Amon-Ra is also under 25. Jameis Williamson. So they have a bunch of young core dudes that are still developing. They haven't even reached their full potential. But yes, the infrastructure is starting to wobble a little bit. You're losing some of those key pieces that supported the development of these dudes. So I still think it's fiction. I think they're still too talented. They have Dan Campbell there. He'll bring the right guys. We'll see. Let me give you one more before we move into our 2-minute drill. The Los Angeles Rams should move on from Stafford and Cooper Kupp and begin the rebuild. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I think they were one play away from getting to the NFC Championship. They're one play away. They got down to the red zone. They could have easily won that game. Maybe Kupp leaves, but Stafford stays. They have someone to replace Kupp, obviously, but
Stafford's 36. Kupp has not been able to stay healthy for the past 3 seasons. He's also been underproductive the past 3 seasons. I say this is total fact. Ooh. It's time to start looking toward the future. Draft a QB maybe. Bring somebody in. Stafford might have a year or 2 left in him, but it's time to get rid of Kupp. He has a lot of dead weight with that salary cap hit. So if you can get something for him, you should.
Fair enough.
All right, man. That does it for our 4 downs, which means we're heading into our 2-minute drill for some news. Kick us off here.
The Chicago Bears have a new head coach. They steal offensive coordinator Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and more head coaching news. Dallas is expected to interview current offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer, son of Marty Schottenheimer, for the vacant head coaching position.
The Indianapolis Colts have hired former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo as their new defensive coordinator.
Yuck. All right. The New York Jets are actually set to interview Detroit Lions current defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn with a reported goal of not letting him leave that building without him becoming their new head coach. So we'll see how that materializes.
As we discussed, the upcoming conference championship round will be the first ever where all 4 teams have combined for 0 turnovers in the entire playoffs.
The Minnesota Vikings have extended Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, and agreed upon a multi-year extension, so he will remain with Skol.
The Houston Texans are the first team to outgain their opponent by 100 yards, not turn the ball over, and lose a postseason game. The previous teams were 49-0.
Well, the New Orleans Saints were forced to reschedule their head coaching interviews this Tuesday due to severely abnormal weather in the area that they were hit with. Can you say snow in the bayou? What?
The NFL is expected to officially expand replay assist to include face mask fouls missed by the officials. Finally.
And the New England Patriots are finished interviewing former offensive coordinator Josh McDaniel to potentially become their new offensive coordinator. A reunion is set.
I'm saved the best for last. There's only 4 quarterbacks that have come out of the AFC since 2014 to reach the Super Bowl. That's Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Joseph Lee Burrow, ladies and gentlemen, since 2013. Wow.
You had to pull that one out there. I mean, what, Mahomes has been to probably 4 or 5 of those?
That's crazy. 4 quarterbacks in the AFC since 2013, over a decade ago. Wow.
It just shows how little competition these other QBs can play against Mahomes.
Well,
one?
Let's add one more. Josh Allen, get this done. Until next week, you know the drill. We'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.
That's right. And thank you for joining us for another episode of the First and 30 podcast. Until next Wednesday, remember, when your number's called, no matter the odds,
let's go for it.